how do we help learners become smarter and more able to benefit from new experiences? What is that factor? Well, Professor Feuerstein didn't invent it, but he did observe it, and he gave it a name so we could talk about it. And he called it mediated learning. Now, direct learning is when learners just interact with the stuff of life on their own. But mediated learning is more, and it's more because we add another person, that we call the mediator, into the middle of things. And that mediator does three very important things. First, the mediator intentionally engages the learner's interest in something. Then the mediator explains the meaning of that something or why it's important. And finally, the mediator shows how that meaning connects or applies to something else in the learner's world too. So those mind-building interactions that we call mediated learning happen when the mediator intentionally engages, adds meaning, and makes connections. With those three features as the frame for your interactions, you can turn all kinds of everyday conversations into awesome mediated learning experiences. Let's go back to the story of the bird mother from episode 3, and I'll show you what I mean. When the first mom pointed to the bird and said, "Look, what's that?" and then her son responded, she was intentionally engaging her son. When they talked about the nest and wondered why the bird was back again, they were adding meaning. We don't know what happened after that, but if they talked about how the nest was a safe place for the eggs and the babies to be, they were adding more meaning. And if they also talked about how other animals make special places for their babies and how human parents create homes for their children to be safe and sheltered and well-fed too, she'd be making important connections to other parts of her son's world too. So you see, the three key features of mediated learning are intentional engagement, adding meaning, and making connections. In this way, with a mediator helping to organize and interpret the world, the learner's thinking ability truly expands because mediated learning uncovers dimensions that learners might take much longer to discover on their own. Mediated learning asks and answers the kinds of questions that learners might not yet think to ask, like those how and why questions. And mediated learning models and involves the learner in actually using those thinking skills and strategies that make up intelligence. Soon we'll begin to look at some of those specific thinking skills that make up intelligence because you'll need to know what your goal is so that you can model it and get your learners doing it too. In the meantime, your practical step is to be practicing the second of those key features, sharing greater meaning with your learners. Tell them why you do, why you believe what you do, and why something's important to you. Sharing that meaning with emotion will help lock it into their memories and model a contagious enthusiasm for learning.